In a second. Happy Wednesday. It's Women That Shred. Welcome, Stacey Maisano. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Is this your first live?
It is. I'm not so much a video person, although I'm starting to dip my toe in it.
Okay, good. Well, this is a good little dive in.
It is. But one thing I wanted to tell you is that I feel like we have never met, but I feel like I know you from all of your videos and social media because I follow you and watch. And so I know so much about you. So I feel connected to you already. So that's what I love about video and social media, the connection that you get.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of mentioned that briefly before we came on that so many people focus on like how many followers and the metrics and the algorithm and like does my video look perfect. And for me, it's none of that. It really is about the connection and about relationships and everything. So I appreciate you saying that, because that's why I do what I do, so that I can meet really cool people like you and then have you on the show. So it works out.
Well, thank you. Well, I feel like you're the cool one. You have so many followers and you are authentic and just put yourself out there, which I'm all about that.
Well, thank you, Stacey. And I love that I'm your first live. So I've been a lot of people's first lives, and for me that's like very humbling to know that people trust me with their with them in there. So
yeah, it is a little nerve-wracking. I will say that. I'm a little nervous. So for the audience out there,
little
grace.
Yeah, no need to be nervous. And then Gabe just popped in. Gabe's another great connection who does a lot of live streaming. He's fantastic, and he's not in the industry. He likes to pop in and support. That's what's really cool about this show too, is that a lot of people hop in because they feel like they can get a lot of value and insight from the women that I have on the show, even if it's not, having to do with the mortgage industry. So that's what's so wonderful about this show. And then Michelle just popped in too. Hi, Michelle. Do you guys know each other? Because she just said,
yes,
you.
We do know each other.
Nice.
Hey, Michelle. Yay. I love her.
She's great. I have to say, I just noticed her profile. It doesn't say open to work. So I guess we'll have to find out if she, Michelle, you have to tell us if you found something, or maybe
I have not.
Green circle. I just noticed the green circle. So, but Stacey, I wanted to obviously have you on the show so you can share what you're doing with, which I love the acronym spells out WIMIN, WIMIN. And then you just started Women's Association in Houston, because you're right. Yeah. Gabe, I think, is actually in Dallas.
Okay, so great. Fellow Texan.
Yeah. But yeah, so please share with us what you're doing, all of it, please.
Sure. So a group of women got together and, we all attend. We have a women's association at the national level, and we have a women's association at the different state levels. Texas does have one, and some other states are coming on at the state level, but we don't have it at the local city level. So we really felt that there was the need for that. We used to have a women's association at the local city level that kind of, went away. So this is really bringing something back that was already here, in a 2023 version, and just really championing women locally in the mortgage industry. And so that's where the acronym is. It's WIMIN. And I even have a little picture.
Ooh.
So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's Women's Inclusive Mortgage Industry Network. So it's all about inclusivity. There is a board. So it's more of a board of trustees. It's not so much a board from a hierarchy standpoint, but more like a board of trustees because we do have sponsors and very, mindful of, that piece of it as well. But we have a lot of women, younger women in the industry that are coming on board that maybe aren't able to attend at the national and state level right now, so they can start locally and then grow into the state and national. So, really excited about it. We are launching in Houston, but really it's for any city out there that wants to incorporate a local women's association. So, certainly chapters can be established. The base has already been established. We did do it as a nonprofit because it is truly about championing the women at a local level.
I love that. I love that you have a chapter. So hopefully, anybody that listens to this and is in a different city
Mm-hmm.
might want to look into starting a chapter. I know I started a chapter locally in Northern Virginia for NAMBA when I was
Mm-hmm.
in Northern Virginia, and I love doing that as well. And then I know that there's like the organization NARAP has chapters all over the country too. So I know how important it is to have it at a local level.
Yeah.
And because not everyone can fly to another state or and attend, so having it locally. Are you do you already have like a calendar of events
Events?
that are coming up for Houston?
Yes. So our first luncheon is in Houston on May 23rd.
Okay.
So that is going to be at Wheezy's Table. And if you go to our website, which is WIMIN, WIMIN.net, all the information's on there. But really, it takes it beyond just the event. So we are doing peer-to-peer mentoring. So we aligned with a platform where basically each individual will enter their information, whether they want to be a mentor or mentee, answer a few questions, and you'll love this, the algorithm will pair them. So
That darnal algorithm.
the algorithm will pair them. Or they can just choose from, of the individuals that, have offered to be a mentor and a
Right.
mentee and pair themselves. But
Okay.
it's a platform to allow them to connect and come together, and then they can establish what that mentoring relationship wants to be. So, part of what this stemmed from was I've always been, believe it or not, I have a shy side. So, growing up in the industry, I always wanted to go and say, God, I wish I could, you know, find out about that person or if they would mentor me, but I was always afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So this takes that away where it's like, hey, these are the individuals that want to mentor and are available. So go ask because they're available and ready.
Yeah.
So, and I think mentoring is such a big piece. I know it has been for me. Um, I started getting mentors. I wish I would have done mentors earlier when I was
Everybody
younger
says that, Stacey. Like everyone I talk to, when they talk about mentorship, they always say, "I wish I would have done it sooner."
because we think we know it all. We don't
I
need
know.
help. We don't need help. Then we get older and we're like, oh my goodness, I need some help. And I
Yeah.
am not afraid to ask.
Yeah.
So, um, so really that platform provides that. So I hope that takes away some of that fear that I experienced, wanting to approach someone. Um, the other thing that we're looking at doing too is a women digital magazine.
Ooh.
Again, it's just for women that like to write. And if you like to write and you want to write articles,
I don't,
we
but
we can put it together. Or anyone out there,
yeah.
we can put it together and looking to do that quarterly. Um, so we have that piece as well, and looking to jump into doing podcast, and we do have a YouTube channel as well. Really talking, featuring our members, our sponsors, again, those women that like to do podcasts and
Mhm.
want something, I know you have this as well. Um, so just another, avenue. It's really making resources available to women that want to grow, expand, um, brand themselves and their companies. It's just really providing that for
Yeah.
them.
No, that's so important, especially right now, because I know that with our industry, we're trying so hard to attract the younger generations, attract
Mhm.
more diversity. And if you're going to do that, but not have the resources or mentors out there to help, then it's like, what's the point, right? I feel like if you're trying to bring in all this young talent, but then just have them fend for themselves, that could be really frustrating. So I love that I'm seeing more and more of people like yourself and organizations that are really focusing on that piece of mentorship and the resources, and then just having them feel like they have someone to turn to and talk to. Yes, Michelle, Stacey is amazing.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, she doesn't have that green circle. So Michelle, you do tell. But no, I think that's fantastic. And hopefully, this will spawn a lot of other chapters around the country because, even with like Empower, with,
Mhm.
Marsha and her having started that years ago, like I feel like that's just catapulted. And then just even the show, Women That Tread, just having solely women on the show as well. Like I think I love just seeing this kind of movement for all the women in the industry because yeah, there's more and more of us, right? And we're badass.
Yes. Yes, we are. And you mentioned about the younger generation,
Mhm.
and, our industry has really struggled with getting that younger generation involved in our industry. And that was part of this too, bringing it down to the local level because a lot of women or individuals starting out, this is a good place to start at the local level. And like I said, growing to the state and national as well. But yeah, we're very, very excited about it. And it really has taken off. There's been, a ton of interest. And we have a lot of men that are attending our luncheon
Oh,
and
good.
sponsoring and, being individual members as well. So, so fortunate to have that support, from each individual.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think that's what it was, the same thing like with Empower, where, it initially, with the luncheons, there were women. And then at some point, the men were like, well, gosh, we want to hear these speakers too. And these are some incredible women that are keynoting and everything. And I remember like it would start trickling, like the men started trickling. And finally, Marsha's like, this is for everybody. Like we invite the men to be here and support too, right?
mhm,
Like you don't want it to be as you don't want it to be divided, but at the same time you want to be able to offer those resources to women.
yeah,
But yeah, it should be for everybody, yeah, especially like you said, if we're trying to attract the younger generations, like we have to be able to attract all of them, not just the women.
right, right. And so that's one of the reasons why the podcast or the YouTube, because that's what the younger generation does and is
Yeah,
into.
I
Not
know.
that
And
I'm
you connected with Ali Cardi at all? She's with Active Comply. I had her on the show. And she's kind of like my mentee. And what's funny is that I actually asked her, I'm like, can I mentor you? And she's like, sure, because I met her and she's young. She's in her mid 20s, and she's newer to the industry. And we just hit it
mhm,
off. And I love it because she now is like realizing that there's this huge generational gap when it comes to
mhm,
homeownership. And so she's actually been out there recording conversations with her friends, and she's been reporting it here on LinkedIn and doing videos. And then she just created an Instagram account which was separate. So she's like the perfect example of someone that came in and saw the need and said, hey, let me be kind of that bridge. Let me be
mhm,
that liaison, someone that has, basically the pulse on that younger generation, and let me help all of you that are Gen Xers, or that are older, that are really struggling on how to to market and how to just appeal to the younger crowd. So that's
Yeah.
what I love is like we're all kind of starting to really collaborate and work together in a way where we all just realize like this isn't a competition, this isn't any of that. Like at the end of the day, we're all just trying to help
Yeah.
another and then help home ownership. So I'm seeing more of that. I don't know if you're seeing that, Stacey, but like
Yeah.
I've seen a shift in the last several years where we've just are like coming together more and more and be like, how can we help?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's really, so early in my career, I didn't really get involved in different associations. I'm like, I have too much on my plate. I don't have
Yeah.
time. And I'm not going to say his name, but I have a mentor. Well, let me rephrase. I call him my mentor. I don't know if he's claimed me as his mentee.
Oh, I want just to be like, I had no idea it was from before.
Yes. He really encouraged me to get involved in the industry that I work in. And so to be quite honest, I just really got involved in the industry, dove in probably, 5, 6 years ago.
Okay.
And what I can tell you is that, the different associations and things of that nature. And what I can tell you is that it really didn't take more time away. It actually, the friendships that I gained from it and just the networking, the collaboration, the getting to know people, it's one of those things, again, I wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, really encouraging the youth to get involved and, get involved in different associations where the decisions and the advocacy is happening, right?
Yeah. And there's more and more organizations popping up. Like even here just in San Diego, there's a real estate organization, but they have like a young division.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's really cool too, is that, or even with the MBA, like I think they also have kind of their young mortgage professionals network as well. Like there's just so many. And I feel like there's no reason why you shouldn't be involved at least with one organization,
Mm-hmm.
like I've been involved with several as well. But yeah, I encourage everybody at least one, because
I
that
agree.
you just never know where those relationships will take you, and the networking and the people you get to meet, and how that'll help your career as well. Yeah, I think it's so important. So I love that you're doing that as well, in Houston, which I have to give a little side note with Houston. I've never been to Houston, but
Oh,
I'm the biggest Houston Oilers fan.
love
Like,
you, Blue.
yeah, in high school. Everyone's like, "How are you a Houston Oilers fan?" I just was a huge fan of Warren Moon and
Yep.
just Jeffries and Givens and Bruce Matthews, like all those guys on the team. And I just love the powder blue. And,
I know. And I love the slogan, love you, Blue,
yeah,
right?
it was just so cool. But and even my cat, I named my cat Oilers. Like, and I had a try and I talked football with all the guys. I'm a Chargers fan. Just being that I'm from San Diego, I probably should be a Chargers fan.
Sure.
But
Sure.
it's just funny when people mention Houston, and I'm like, I was a Oilers fan. I'm like, oh, you're from Houston. I'm like, no, never been.
I know. It was a great era back then with the Houston Oilers. I mean, I
Yeah.
grew up with that.
I was gonna say, are you originally from Houston then?
I was born about an hour and a half outside of Houston in a smaller
Okay.
town called Beaumont.
Mhm.
But then I grew up in North Houston. So I'm a Houstonian. Yes, true and
Okay.
true. That married a Detroit, Michigan guy. So Italian guy. So we have in Texas those signs that say "Don't mess with Texas,"
Yeah.
and we've even taken that and made signs and banners that you can buy that says "Don't mess with Texas women." So I have to remind him sometimes. I'm like, see that sign on the side of the road it says "Don't mess with Texas."
Yeah.
Add the women to it, and that applies. So, yeah. So
Oh my gosh. That's
So I
that's
just joke around with him because he's the northern Italian.
I was gonna say that there seems like you guys there's a big difference there, probably like how you guys grew up and so forth. But sometimes
Yes,
that's
it's
how
very
it
big
works.
difference. Yes,
Sometimes
I'm
less
the,
relationships.
what do they just say? They call us the Southern sensitive. So then I marry a Northern Italian who's so blunt. so, so I am, what do I say? I cowgirled up to it. I'm
Oh
not
my God.
so sensitive anymore.
So do you I mean, I'm not married anymore. I've been divorced for a really long time and I haven't had a partner or anything. So I'm like, I do everything on my own, very independent. All my decision making is pretty much just me. So with your husband, I'm just curious. Does he help you a lot with what you're doing with, do you go to turn to him for advice or does he kind of just let you do your thing or are you just like, hey, let me do my thing? I'm just curious, like the dynamic there when it comes to that.
Yeah. So when I come back from an Empower event, I'm real charged up. He stays away from me a little bit, but
Okay.
no, it's not that bad. So yeah, he's very supportive, and he's just very supportive. He sometimes inserts himself with opinions, which I take. But yeah, I'm probably more of the A personality and he's the B personality. So we balance ourselves very, very well. But yeah, it was real interesting when we came up, he was helping with me with different names and things. So one Saturday, we have a little lake house in Livingston, Texas. I was there. I woke up. We had like several other names we were going to go with, and then WIMIN just popped up, and then the Women's Inclusive Mortgage Industry Network,
Yeah.
and then the colors and the website. Like I did it all in like 8 hours on a Saturday.
That's usually what happens. I've come to realize when things like that, it's like they call it like a download, where
Yeah,
it just, like all comes to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I've had a moment. I had that moment with my YouTube channel, Rock the Boat, with the kids. Like same.
yeah.
It was just all within a day. I came up with everything: the colors, the slogan, the everything. So that's so cool that that happened for you too with WIMIN.
Yeah, it just, I mean, when you're moved and you
Yeah.
just grab a hold of it and go.
Yeah.
So, you talk about your rock the boat. There is and I'm trying to get a hold of her. I'd love to talk to her, but there is a young lady. She's a Girl Scout, and
Okay.
I was a Girl Scout, but she actually created this patch called Raise Your Hand. And what
Oh.
it is she was noticing all the girls in her class were afraid to raise their hand, but all the boys were raising their hand. So she went to her troop leader and said, I notice all the boys are raising their hand, but the girls are afraid to raise their hand. Because we have to be perfect, right? We have to give the perfect answer. And what she was finding was that the boys, if they didn't have the perfect answer, it was okay. They were okay with that. But the girls, they'd raise their hand, get the wrong answer, and then they wouldn't raise their hand again. So they came up with a Girl Scout patch called Raise Your Hand. And it's all about motivating other girls to start raising their hand. Like, you don't have to be perfect, just raise your hand.
Okay.
So
So you're trying to locate her? I was like, maybe.
I'm trying to locate her. I bought her book. Of course,
Okay.
I bought the Girl Scout patch to put on my sash because I just love it.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm really a really good PI with stuff like this. I'm gonna try to find her too, because I actually, speaking of Rock the Boat, I had a girl on my show, and I actually surprised her with Justin Guarini, and then her troop leader for the Girl Scout, because they have this whole thing that they do, and I forget what it's called, but she's a pop singer, and she was her troop leader, and so I surprised her, and so she was a Girl Scout, and I'm gonna reach out to her parents. Maybe they can kind of help me out too, being that she's involved. But
That would
I
be
was a
great.
Girl Scout too, a brownie and a Girl
A
Scout.
brownie and a Girl Scout, yes. And I love the Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, I know. I think we might have some in the freezer now that I think about it. Some Thin Mints, because those have to go in
Yes,
the freezer. You cannot eat
yes.
those room temperature. Okay, so that'll be like a little a side thing that
Yeah,
we'll have to do.
we'll
But
have
no,
to
I love that. But
we'll
see,
have to find
once
her.
again, it's like these women, these young girls are, they're stepping up. It's
Well,
so
even
inspiring.
yeah, like even me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get nervous raising my hand, right?
Yeah.
So it's
No.
like a great message for all ages.
I was
And
gonna say it's a great message for everybody, for all
yeah.
women, for all ages, and the fact that, like, at our age, we still have so many insecurities. And, even
Mhm.
yesterday when I had talked about putting my video up on LinkedIn about just being really vulnerable, and
Yeah.
no makeup on, like lovely little zit. I hadn't even showered, like rolled out of bed, put on a baseball hat, but I forced myself to get out of bed and go to work. And I'm very blessed that have a job where I can roll into work like that and no one's going to judge me. No one's going to say anything. They're going to just kind of like let me, be me. And so that's fantastic. But yeah, like even in that moment posting it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's like so scary. But
Yeah.
I realize the more and more we have these conversations and the more and more we talk about it and we bring up those things, like the better we're all for it. So, um,
Yeah, that's how we connect.
yeah,
We don't That's how we connect as humans.
yeah.
Is, so nobody connects through perfect.
Mm-mm.
Connect through imperfection,
Yeah,
and we're human. So I
yeah,
got to the point in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm going to embrace my imperfection, and I'm okay with that.
yeah. That's so important too, especially with what you're doing in women in the industries. I'm sure a lot of women that come into this industry, I feel like there might be like an added pressure because financial services, banking,
Hmm.
it has, there is kind of a stereotype around it. There is kind of this illusion that, you have to be perfect. I don't
Hmm.
know why. And so I think it really is important to showcase that, like, hey, all the people that are in this industry, they're people like me. You would never see me on the street and be like, oh, she's in the mortgage industry, or maybe even yourself, right? So I think like it's more and more important to even show like, hey, we're all human in every
Yeah.
industry. We don't have to be anything different, just be ourselves, and we can still be professional. We can still, help people. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
love that I'm seeing this like evolution happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's great, what you're doing, being authentic and vulnerable, because we talked about before we got on the show, so many people suffer in silence because they feel like they're the only one. And then when you hear someone else, just the mere fact of not feeling alone is
It's huge.
enough to start alleviating that pain.
Yeah. Allie, were your ears ringing? Because I had like a whole 5-minute conversation about you, girlfriend, and here she is. Yeah, so that's who I was talking about. That you have
Okay.
to connect with, and you have to see what she's doing. It's
Yes,
fantastic. Like,
I love that.
yeah. And then Michelle, I have to just give her a shout out because she was someone like yourself that had never wasn't doing video. I was her second live. Her first live was actually with a friend of mine, but same thing where she realized that like she needed to be vulnerable, and the more vulnerable she's been and
Yep.
just doing videos, like she's like just doing such an awesome job with that
Yeah.
as well. And yeah, I just think it's fantastic. And yes, Allie, OMG, we were. So you're gonna have to like rewind and and hear
Yeah.
it.
I want to give a shout out to Michelle too, because she's done great when she was in Open to Work, doing those videos and LinkedIn and helping others and tidbits and things like that. I thought that was
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
she put herself out there, which encouraged me to put myself out there more. So her and I are friends, and I love seeing everything that she's been doing.
Yeah, but see, I love that Michelle encouraged you, and then you're gonna be someone that knows you and sees you and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe Stacey!" Like, that's gonna, hopefully inspire them to do the same. So that's what's like so cool. It's like such a beautiful ripple effect, you
Yeah,
know?
it is.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
then Michelle did say that she doesn't understand why the green circle is not showing. So she does technically still have the green circle. So we have to still support our gal Michelle. She just had a little aw.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But I don't see her having a green circle for long.
No, no, no. Like I told her that I kind of just after her doing like videos and putting herself out there, I almost see her like in a completely different position and role because I think she's showcasing a side of her that not many people knew about her. And she's just so
Right.
natural in front of the camera and she's just
She
so
does.
poised and everything that I literally was like, Michelle, like you belong doing something totally different. Like
I know. She's
you can't be behind the scenes anymore. No more ops for you.
yeah, she's been in ops, but she's got that marketing sales side too, which is very, is unique for a person to have both sides of that.
Yes, yes.
And do it well, which she does.
Agree. I totally agree. So, Michelle, I hope you're dabbling in other things. But see, we already are at the 30.
I know. I can't believe time flew by. I told them, I'm like, I don't know if I have 30 minutes of stuff to talk about. And look, I can continue on.
See, no, that's what's so awesome is that it's a conversation, and then we have people pop in our conversation, and it's all fun.
I love it.
I love it. Well, I love that I got to actually meet you.
Yes, me too.
And then we'll go ahead and continue this offline for sure. And then completely agree. She's another marketing queen. Yes, yeah, Michelle. And so I appreciate Michelle hopping on and supporting Allie, Gabe, and then people always watch the replay as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everybody for supporting, and thank you, Stacey, for being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
So people should just go to the WMIN website to check out the
yes.
chapter.
WIMIN.net. Yes, and it'll have all of the events and everything that's available out there.
Okay, Allie, hint, hint. Maybe you need to start a chapter in Nashville. Just saying.
Yes.
She's out in Nashville, so that would be perfect.
We'll connect up, Allie.
Awesome. So Dal, she went ahead and put the website up in the comments. So thank you.
Perfect.
But thanks again. Thanks everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Thanks.